The NFL playoff picture is almost set. The college football playoff is down to 8 teams, and just a handful of teams remaining are fighting for the number 1 overall pick. So let's dive into Mock Draft 2.0 over here at Best Available. Thank you for watching the channel. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube if you're not already, and follow us on socials at Best Available YT. Highly encourage you to become a member as well. That holiday sale is almost over at the end of the year. Just $1.99 a month. You get full access to my NFL Draft Big Board and the ability to suggest future videos. So highly encourage you to check that out. There will be a link in the episode description, but I know why you're here. Let's go ahead and dive into that mock draft. Hard to believe this is only the second mock draft that we've done on this channel, but I'm really excited to dive into it. Let's just go ahead and establish a couple things right out of the way in case you have any questions. Number one, this draft order is determined, pre this week, so not including the Christmas Day games or the Saturday games. So this order is before last week. Number two, I'm not going to do any trades, and normally I think that argument of we're not doing any trades to make it quote unquote more realistic or fair is not my favorite argument. I think it actually presents more of a challenge because I think it takes 2 teams to actually get a trade done. And while yes, I think if the Giants are picking number 1, they're going to try and trade back to let someone else that needs a quarterback go up for that number 1 pick. But I just think it makes it more of a challenge, and I'm kind of up for a challenge today with this mock to really just nail down if they can't trade out, and they have to pick value here, what player are they going to take? So that's going to be the thought experiment for today's episode. Let's go ahead and dive into it, starting with the New York Giants, who, are going to be fighting for that number 1 pick on Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders in what is quite really the toilet bowl of the season. You bet I'll be trying to watch that if I can. But number 1, if they cannot trade out, they're not going to move on from Jackson Dart this soon. Obviously, I'm a pretty big fan of how he's played when healthy. He's just got to protect himself. So if they don't take a quarterback, I think the most logical scenario here for value is Arvell Reese. And that might seem, a little crazy given the fact that they already have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter and all of this, but this actually gives them a situation where I think Reese is a better edge defender than off-ball linebacker, but I think you can play him in an off-ball linebacker role in the context of this defense and then also use him as a pass rusher, an extra pass rusher in these situations. And to me, it's kind of just turning a strength into a superpower for the Giants, which is something they've kind of lacked as a franchise. I just think continuing to bolster this strength and adding other pieces on other sides. I thought about going offense, but Malik Neighbors will be back next year. There's just a lot I'm hopeful for with this franchise, but if you can turn a strength into an even bigger one that can, potentially, be game breaking. I just really like the idea of Reese in the context of this defense with all of the other exciting pieces to really find a defensive identity to help carry this team into relevancy. So really curious to see where they go. I think if they get the number 1 pick, they do ultimately trade out, but in this context, I think Arvell Reese is a pretty damn exciting addition here. Moving on to number 2 with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, but they're going to go quarterback with Fernando Mendoza. I always get nervous about a team taking a quarterback early when they have so many other needs, and clearly the Raiders have needs across the board. I think we might see another regime change. There's just so much going wrong for this franchise, but at the end of the day, they need a franchise quarterback to start building around. I think Mendoza is that guy. Maybe you can hold on to Geno Smith for a little bit as a bridge quarterback for a year and let Mendoza just kind of, get his feet wet and acclimated. But I think he's pro ready. He's got the size. He's got a little mobility. He's got a kind of funky release, but I like how quickly he can get it out, especially against pressure. And boy, with that Raiders offensive line, I feel like he faced a lot of pressure. So I think this is the right move. I worry about it, especially as a Hoosier grad, about Mendoza flaming out on a franchise that doesn't have the talent to build around him. But that's for another round, another draft, and another offseason of acquisitions where hopefully they can start to build around a potential franchise quarterback. So I don't think they have any choice here. I think they need to go quarterback at number 2. The Browns at 3 is really, really tricky. I don't think there's another quarterback after Mendoza's off the board that I would really want to touch until late in the first round. And with that being said, I'm just going to take Jordan Tyson. Wide receiver value at number 3 is probably not my favorite, but if they're going to try and keep seeing what Shedeur can do, because, you've seen some flashes at least, there's other needs on this team. I considered a D-line, but that unit is just so solid. I was thinking again, like along the lines of the Giants, make a strength a strength, but Jordan Tyson is one of these guys that has franchise wide receiver one potential. Really elusive. I think he's a precise route runner. He's phenomenal in contested catch situations. He just does everything quite well. And, he's tied for wide receiver one for me right now. I just think stylistically a better fit, paired with Jerry Jeudy than the other guy I'm thinking of. So I'm going to go Tyson at number 3. Just find an opportunity. Maybe an offensive lineman here, but 3 feels early with this class. So I'm just going Jordan Tyson at 3. Number 4 for me felt pretty easy, though. Again, another team with a lot of needs. They've traded, multiple franchise cornerstones in Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams to, acquire more picks in the coming years, which I definitely respect when you're trying to rebuild. I know they need a quarterback, but again, with Mendoza gone, I just would not take another anywhere close to the 4th overall pick. So let's give them Peter Woods out of Clemson. Really disruptive, powerful, agile, prospect with good hand usage. He really checks a lot of boxes for me as a D lineman, and he kind of feels like the perfect Quinnen Williams replacement. I think this is going to be a really impactful defensive lineman at the NFL level, so I'm very curious to see how he pans out. He's a really fun player. I know Clemson had a down year, but I think they had that defensive front is just littered with NFL talent. And if you need another name for next year's draft, he just announced he's coming back, but Will Held off the edge. I'm really excited to see what he does in 2026. Moving on to the Titans, another team, a lot of needs. You have Cam Ward, so don't have to think quarterback here, which is kind of a relief. You have Jeffrey Simmons on the interior, but I still want to go pass rusher because Rueben Bain is still on the board, and he is my number 1 overall prospect. I think he is a guy that not only can help you rush the passer off the edge, I think he can kick inside. I think he can play against the run. And if you can start building out that defensive line, with pass rushers or big bodies that can help stop the run, and just take some pressure off of Jeffrey Simmons, we're really going to have, a defense that's going to start ascending way faster than we were expecting. And I just think Bain stylistically fits really well as an edge paired with Simmons, so that you can have some guys that, rushing the passer is sexy and it's obviously very important, but I also want my guys to be able to fit and fill the run. And I just think Bain does a great job of that as well. A lot of questions about his arm length, his athletic profile. He's got a weird body type, but I just really think he is the guy for the job. I'm a big fan of his, and I really think he's going to thrive at the NFL level, despite some of the concerns that we've been hearing lately. So give me Rueben Bain to the Titans. Number 6 with the Arizona Cardinals. Offensive line seems like an issue. Quarterback, again, an issue. You're going to notice, you're probably asking Tyler, why have you not taken Dante Boer off the board? I'm just going to tell you right now, everything I've heard is suggesting that he's going back to school. He's being offered an absolute bag. So I'm not willing to put him in a mock draft yet. And I hope that doesn't upset anyone or anything like that. But from everything I've heard, everything I've heard, is he's coming back. The only thing that's changed slightly is that the offensive coordinator at Oregon left, and that could have enticed more. So until I hear anything more concrete about him deciding to go pro, I'm just not going to put him in a mock draft because just all the buzz is suggesting that he's going to go back to Oregon. So going to leave him off this mock in case you're wondering. So with no quarterback off the board, we're going to go offensive line here for the Cardinals. I think 6, probably better value for some of these guys. And I'm going to go Spencer Fano. I think he is an ideal right tackle. Maybe he's a little undersized, but he's so quick. He can mirror any pass rusher. He's got a little bit of an anchor to him. He can, he's got some effective leg drive against the run. And I think the Cardinals desperately need to replace Kelvin Beachum, who's, near the end of his career at 36 years old. I think Fano and Paris Johnson are an awfully exciting tackle duo for the future. And once you find that quarterback wherever you want to go in the post-Kyler Murray era, it'll be nice to have an offensive line already established for your future quarterback. I think that's the right way to build instead of trying to reach for a guy, assuming Dante Moore is not in this year's draft. At number 7, the Commanders have, again, another team with a lot of needs, but I'm just going to go, best player available here. And regardless of position, I think that is easily Caleb Downs. Maybe an undersized safety, but you want to talk about a guy that's instinctive, rangy, and really physical. I think he is one of the best tacklers at any position in this class. I keep saying he tackles almost like a national champion wrestler. His technique is so good, he consistently brings guys down when he makes contact. But he's also always in the right position, getting his teammates in the right position. I think he can be a franchise cornerstone in that Washington secondary. And I really think Commander fans would be thrilled to see Downs all the way down at 7. Getting one of these blue chip prospects, and honestly, there are not many of them in this draft. So get one like Downs at 7 would feel like an absolute win for Washington. Moving on to number 8 with the New Orleans Saints. Another Ohio State guy, but they need wide receivers. Chris Olave, as talented as he is, the concussions are worrisome. They've traded away Rashid Shaheed. Devon Vele's shown some flashes, but I need another guy. Give me Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Another guy that can, he's not the best top end speed, but this is a physical, long, really good route runner who, can really make plays, contested catch situations. He just does a lot of everything really, really well. And I think adding him with Olave makes, things really fun. Tyler Shuck might be this offense for the Saints. So getting rid of Shaheed, adding a guy like Tate sounds like a really fun addition. So give me Carnell Tate to the Saints and a pair of Buckeyes receivers for Tyler Shuck to throw to next season. Bengals, man, I don't know where they go this offseason. There's a lot of questions that they need to answer. But if Burrow stays, if this offense is still everything that it is this year going into next year, you got to start building that offensive line, man. It needs better players. And I couldn't think of a better top 10 offensive lineman than Francis Maui Noah. Right tackle for the Miami Hurricanes. It's the best pad level, I think, of any lineman at the top of this draft. He does a great job of moving bodies in the trenches. He's got a great anchor. His play strength really is his calling card, but his technique to have functional strength on top of just being naturally strong really separates him. Maybe the lack of length will kick him into guard, and honestly, for the Bengals, that's probably fine. So I'm cool with if you want to kick him into guard. I think he is a top 10 pick as a guard still, that kind of value. So I would love Maui Noah and Cincy as an option to protect Joe Burrow. The Dolphins at 10 are a tricky one, but I watched this guy recently, and I totally immediately understood why everyone thought he was a number one corner. Give me Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. It's rare to see a guy with both twitch and fluidity, and I think McCoy checked both of those boxes before tearing his ACL. Obviously, his entire draft stock is going to depend entirely on how that knee ends up checking out in medicals because he did not play this entire season. But man, that tape last year, he does such a good job of sticking to receivers in man, triggering downhill and zone. He does so much of everything. I think he's a really exciting corner prospect. And with the Dolphins, who just need, a little bit of everything, I think McCoy is the answer if they can't find a quarterback early. I think they should be thrilled with in theory, fully healthy Jermod McCoy. Just a big, big fan of that. So we're going to go McCoy at number 10. The Rams are some lucky sons of guns having the 11th pick and being, potential Super Bowl favorites this year because of that god-awful Atlanta Falcons trade. Don't care. I know James Pierce is having a really good rookie year. It was not worth giving up a potential top 10 pick to get him. So the Rams have the 11th pick here. A lot of different options, but I think they can also go corner here. Seeing after getting Emmanuel Forbes and having to rely so much on him, yes, he's had some flashes, but man, teams love to pick on that guy. They need to find a replacement. You want to talk about a high IQ football player that fits this defense so well. It is Mansour Delane out of LSU, a guy I've kept my eye on since last year at Virginia Tech, and I was like, this is a guy. So when I heard he transferred to LSU, I was really intrigued, and I thought even with the Tigers' down season, he just shows off those instincts and ability to jump passes and bait quarterbacks. He's got length and size. He checks so many boxes for me as a corner. If he's not CB1, he is close. He's right behind McCoy for me in my rankings, which again you can see by becoming a member of the channel. But I'm a big fan of Delane's game and really excited to see where he goes. For the Kansas City Chiefs, could be a really weird transition year, but I think the smoothest transition you could possibly get at any position is at tight end in this draft class with Kenyon Sadiq. If Travis Kelce retires, I could not think of in recent years, maybe Brock Bowers, but Sadiq stylistically fits so much of what can make sense in the context of the Chiefs offense. He's an ideal move tight end that can move around, but he's such an effective blocker as well, which I think Kelce may not be able to do nowadays near the end of his career. I just think Sadiq is such a versatile chess piece that could open up a lot for this Chiefs offense. And yeah, maybe you could talk about, a running back here with Jeremiyah Love or something like that, but I think Sadiq is just such an exciting piece that you could add for Patrick Mahomes. I really think his dream fit of any team in the NFL is the Chiefs with Mahomes as the Kelce successor. So give me Kenyon Sadiq at number 12. You can talk about tight end value with the 12th overall pick, but I really do think Sadiq is that kind of player. He is so fun to watch. We did a video on him a couple weeks ago that I encourage you to check out as well. At number 13, Jerry Jones loves his Texas prospects, I imagine. And I see David Bailey's on the board, but Cassius Howell feels like one of these guys that'd be a really fun fit alongside Donovan Ezeraku. When you need to rush the passer after trading away Micah Parsons, boy, can Howell do that on the smaller, lighter end for edges, but he's got terrific bend and burst around the edge. He can be a real speed rush threat. I think he is a really fun pass rushing option for a team like the Cowboys. And the fact that they would get another Texas kid in the building is just funny to me, but I think it's a really fun, exciting, intriguing potential fit here. So give me Howell. Howell to the Dallas Cowboys. Number 14, we're going to try and go a little bit faster as we get into these later picks, but I do love to talk about these guys. So number 14 with the Ravens, I know their needs on hearsay guard and D-line. I'm going to go Denzel Boston. I have Mekhi Lemon ranked higher, but I'm wondering more if he's a more effective slot at the NFL level, and the Ravens already have a guy like Zay Flowers that has that inside-out versatility. I don't trust DeAndre Hopkins to be there next year, and I don't know how effective he really is in a total game context. He can make some plays, but in a total game context, I think Denzel Boston is this big-bodied speed threat. He's thick. They're not 50-50 balls with him. They're more like 70-30, 80-20. Really, really, really fun prospect. It's very rare to me to see a guy that big, like your bigger wide receiver, returning punts as well, but that's just kind of the vision and elusiveness he has after the catch. Really fun player that I think does a lot for what Ed checks a lot of the boxes the Ravens need in their passing game. So give me Denzel Boston there. I think that's a fun one. I've got no idea what the Vikings want to do, man. Really disappointing year from them. Great win, especially Packers fans are thrilled that they got that win on Christmas night. Curious to see where they go here, but honestly, I think the Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason just have not brought enough juice to the running back position. With all the offensive line investments they made, they really need to be able to establish the run if they decide to stick with J.J. McCarthy, and I think that's where Jeremiyah Love falls off the board. If they can get Jeremiyah Love, they find their workhorse immediately. He has legitimate juice. He's like an all-pro hurdler with vision and decisiveness, but he can run and create extra yards by running through you, around you, or over you. He is one of these guys that's just a rare talent at the position. I think the Vikings at 15 would be jumping for joy to land a guy like Jeremiyah Love. So very, very interested in that pick, and would be a little scared as a Packers fan to see Love end up in Minnesota. At number 16, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think they need another big-bodied edge here. Give them some ability to free up the second level against the run, but also rush the passer, because I'm a huge fan of Keldrick Falk. A guy that's 6'6", but I think he plays with terrific pad level for his size and length, and can be just such a great power rusher that can get disengaged, get into the backfield. He can be disruptive against both the run and the pass. I think he's one of these edges in this class that's really getting overlooked as like a true borderline top 10 talent, which is a bit unfair. Again, he played for Auburn this year, but he's a really fun prospect every time I turn on the tape on him. So give me Keldrick Falk. I think that's one that Buccaneers fans would be thrilled with. He's just a very, very fun player to watch. So I highly encourage you, if you have not watched Falk's tape, that's one of these guys, doesn't get a lot of attention. I think you'll be really happy with him, especially Buccaneers fans. Lions here at 17, they might end up picking earlier by the end of this season, which is just crazy to think about. I think corner is such a need. I know they have two incredible safeties that get banged up. The cornerback room's been ravaged by injuries. And if we have to pick a name, a guy that I have probably ranked higher than consensus, and worried I'm going to get his name wrong, but it's Brandon Sissy, out of South Carolina. Don't mean to call him a sissy if that's not how it's pronounced. But I love this guy with length, linear speed, can really carry players vertically, take some pressure off of these safeties. Someone I'm really, really intrigued by his overall skill set. I do have him ranked slightly higher than these guys. I think he's going to blow up in the pre-draft process, especially at the combine. One of those names I'm keeping an awfully close eye on, because I just think his athletic tools are going to be great. And I think a team like the Vikings, as long as he's wired the right way to be one of these competitive sons of guns, I think he is a great fit for the Lions, especially with their need at the cornerback position. Jets back on the clock at number 18. They found their Quinnen Williams replacement in Peter Woods. Let's give them a linebacker. We are going to find it here. I am struggling. Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. That is another just alien linebacker the Ohio State Buckeyes have this season. He has tons of in-game experience. He's incredibly instinctive. He wallops ball carriers when he's tackling them. I think he's a really fun, athletic, rangy, lengthy linebacker that can do a lot of everything. A really fun second-level defender for the Jets. A much-needed addition to that defense. That just, honestly, that roster across the board just needs heavy infusions of talent. So getting a defensive lineman and a linebacker in this first round to start building around, is going to be really effective for them, I think, going forward, especially with a defensive-minded head coach, assuming that Aaron Glenn stays after this year, which I do think he should. With the Carolina Panthers, a team that's had some fun. They got Nick Scorton this year's flashed a little bit, but I still think edge rushers and other needs. Give me David Bailey, another guy with really crazy length. That length, explosiveness, he can do a great job of getting extended and disengaging. And I really think with better technique, he's going to be a 3-down player that can be really disruptive consistently. But right now, I think he's relying on that length and explosiveness as just raw tools. Some more refinement is going to make him a really, really not fun player to plan against for offensive coordinator. So give me Bailey to the Carolina Panthers, another addition to that defense that's really starting to turn the corner. That team as a whole is starting to turn the corner. I'm really rooting for them to, keep improving after how bleak it looked for a few seasons. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that's, in one of these limbo phases, but it feels like they always are. No idea if Aaron Rodgers sticks around another year, but whoever's playing quarterback would like to see another, legitimate weapon alongside DK Metcalf. And for me, that's Mekhi Lemon, who's probably falling too far in this mock draft. You want to talk about an ideal slot Z guy that can play inside out. Lemon is one of those guys. He just moves different on the field, which makes him a terrific route runner. For being one of these quote unquote smaller kind of guys, I think he's a great contested catch guy. He's got legitimate twitch. He does a lot of everything for me, and I'm a big fan of his game. Again, 20 is probably too late for him. Steelers would feel like they're getting an absolute steal and a great complementary piece to the passing game with DK Metcalf. At 21, the Cowboys already got a pass rusher with their first round pick. Here, I want to bolster the offensive line a bit. I know they got quite a few names on there, but I think continuing to hammer and improve that offensive line up front is just going to make, improve competition, improve depth, and really help them. And I'm going to give you a sleeper name here that I really, really, really think is a first-round pick, and that is Oregon's Emmanuel Pregnon. This is a guy that every time I watch him, he's just looking for work. He's agile. He can move bodies in the run game. I could see him being an emergency tackle with how fluid he looks. But he's one of these guys when I turn on, I'm like, why are we not talking about Pregnon as a first-round pick? I'm going to stand by it and I'm going to put him in this mock because I just really think he checks the boxes of what you want in a first-round guard. So give me Pregnon at 21 to the Cowboys. I'm sure Eagles are not thrilled that a guard just went off the board given some of their needs on the offensive line. The offensive line's looked really rough this year with all the injuries. Something that they're going to need especially with once Lane Johnson retires, you've got a lot of questions here. But the cornerback position is also an issue at this point. So give me Avion Terrell, a physical, no-nonsense corner for me. I love my corners that are also willing to be physical, can play man-to-man, can play zone, have instincts. Terrell has had a really, really solid career at Clemson despite all the struggles with the team. So give me Terrell to the Eagles. Houston Texans are a really tricky one given, they keep trading off offensive linemen. I don't really love any of the, options here if they're going to stick with Ursery at left tackle. I don't love any of the options, the other 4 spots here. But I'm going to give you a name. I like Caden McDonald on the defensive line. Keep bolstering the defense with D'Amico Ryans as your head coach. And I think McDonald is one of these guys, like Arvell Reese, has just skyrocketed up draft boards to me with how well he's played on this Ohio State defense. Someone that's really effective, powerful, really, really powerful, can really play in the trenches, take on double teams. Has been really fun to watch on this Ohio State defense. So very curious to see how his season ends up for McDonald. But if you need a name to watch on this Ohio State defense during the playoff, and I've already watched a lot of the top names, I highly encourage you to just keep an eye on McDonald because he can really wreck some run game and put some pressure on quarterbacks. With the Bills at 24, I'm going to go edge rusher here. I'm going to go TJ Parker. Just give me another power rusher with some good hand usage and pad level. And I think Parker is a different kind of flavor of what the edges they have currently. I know they have, is it Nick? No, they have Joey Bosa. Sorry, I always get them confused. But Joey Bosa's on the older end. AJ Epinesa just had some injuries, but I think they need more pass rush depth in this team. You can never have too many pass rushers, in my opinion. And I think if the Bills really want to keep making deep playoff runs, being able to affect opposing quarterbacks and let Josh Allen carry on the other side is going to be your best bet. So give me TJ Parker at 24. 25 with the Chargers. They've had some fun players on that defensive line this year, but let's get a real monster up in front in Caleb Banks. We're talking a 330-pound defensive lineman. That's a lot of beef in the trenches. And he is, I still think that's a guy that has a lot of work as far as refinement, but those flashes of his athletic explosiveness and play strength, he could be a real monster. And I just think it's a fun team for him to go on with some already established veterans on that defense. Could really help him unlock his full potential. So would really like to see him in Los Angeles. For 26, let's go with Casey Concepcion to the 49ers, who knows what's happening with Brandon Ayuk. That's been a huge disappointment. Deebo Samuel is gone. Ricky Pearsall's had some flashes. Jawan Jennings has been solid, but I really like the idea of this, smaller true speed threat in KC, who's been one of my favorite prospects in this class. He's a return man. He's so precise as a route runner, explosive, twitchy, dangerous after the catch. He can be a really fun gadget player that I think could get a lot of manufactured touches in a Kyle Shanahan offense. I think he just fits a lot of what they need as an outlet for Brock Purdy. So let's go with Concepcion at 26. This is a guy that, I keep toeing the fence on, but for the Browns with their second first-round pick, I'm going to give him Caden Proctor. This is a guy that the right offensive line coach will turn into Trent Williams, but I just don't see the Trent Williams in him yet. I see flashes occasionally. I just don't trust him on a down-to-down basis because I think it's so not refined. I think there's some stamina issues. There's definitely some pad level issues, but if you can work on all of these things, you can't teach 6'7". He is just a gigantic human being that, when he's had good games, no one can get to Ty Simpson on that side. And I'm like really rooting for him to unlock that potential. I'm not as high on him as others, but I understand the vision with him. And I think the Browns are going to try and take that swing with their second first-round pick and see if they can get a true potential multiple-time all-pro tackle in the late first round. Going to take another big swing here at 28 with the Rams. They have a second first-round pick. I really liked Ty Simpson at the beginning of the year. Just want you guys to know this. Not the beginning, but like in the middle of the season, he was doing stuff where I was like, I know he's a little smaller, but this is a legitimate NFL quarterback. He has some of the best footwork and lower body mechanics of any quarterback in this class. He's got a sufficient arm talent. He can hit some really tough throws. There's a couple where he's getting drilled and his pinpoint accuracy is amazing. I don't know if he's a big gun vertical passing game guy, but he is a point and click quarterback that can be really effective with how quick he can get the ball out and play with timing. But the last few games have looked really rough for him, and I don't know what's going to happen with his draft stock. I think he's got, a lot to prove against Indiana in the Rose Bowl. Hopefully not too much as a Hoosier. But I'm still going to take him here at the 28. The Rams need a successor to Stafford, and it doesn't seem like that plan has come to fruition yet. Nussmeier is another one I'd consider, but his year was horrendous, and you could say he was played hurt. But I'm going to go Ty Simpson here at 28. I just think he's got enough stuff that I've really liked at times that I'm willing to bet if you can get him behind a guy like Matt Stafford for at least a year, he can pick up some things and hopefully be ready to go by 2027. Just a few more here, but with the Bears, I really like the idea of giving them Amari Washington as one of these big-bodied interior defenders to keep plugging holes against the run and open stuff up for their very rangy linebackers. I just want more beef on the trenches for the Bears to allow Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards and these guys to just clean up plays from the second level. So I think Amari Washington is one of these guys. He's gone hot and cold for me this year, but man, those hot games, I just think he's a surefire first-round pick. So I'll go Amari Washington to the Bears. For the Patriots, I'm going to give them Ione. I'm not going to get his. I'm not even going to attempt to it until I learn it, so I don't want to mispronounce it. But the Penn State guard, who I have watched quite a bit, he is a first-round guard to me. I think Pregnon is above him in my rankings, but I just think he's one of these guys that's super dense and powerful and can anchor down in pass protection. Yeah, maybe he's not the most fluid or anything like that, but one of these no-nonsense guys to pave the way for, Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson, while protecting bull rush against Drake May, who, I just think really fun potential addition to this offense. Mike Vrabel wants some no-nonsense guys, and I think this is one of them. 2 more picks here, almost done for the day. The Denver Broncos, I'm going CJ Allen out of Georgia. So many potential options here, and it feels like they don't have any truly glaring positions of need. Maybe a tight end, but I'm gonna go CJ Allen. I just think he's been one of these more consistent, reliable linebackers in this class. I think he's really good in zone coverage. I think he does a good job of jumping passes. I think he's got great eyes against the run and can fill and is not afraid to engage blockers when attacking downhill. I think he does a lot of everything right. And in the right defense, especially a defense like Denver, would be unfair. And I think they would be thrilled with that kind of guy in the middle of their defense. And wrapping it up with the Seattle Seahawks, so wild to have them picking 32, but we'll go with another Tennessee corner in Colton Hood. I don't know what the future holds for the secondary. I know they're kind of in flux. I still really like Witherspoon. I know Reek Woolen's had, taken some lumps, and I know they're just missing some depth at corner. So give me Colton Hood here as another potential guy. I think he fits Mike McDaniel's defense quite a bit as one of these physical, corners. I just think a big fan of his potential play style in the context of everything else they have in their secondary. And there you have it. That is our full first round mock draft. Thank you so much for watching today. Hope you enjoyed this. If you want more mocks, let me know. I've only done 2 over the course of the season. I know we'll be doing plenty of draft stuff over the coming weeks. So let me know in the comments, what your thoughts are on this mock specifically. And if you want more, I'm sure we'll consider that if that's something you guys want. So thank you so much for watching. We'll be back on Monday after another weekend of football. Gearing up for the college football playoff next week. Cannot wait. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.